Well, hello. Good Tuesday evening. It is not only Taco Tuesday, but it is one hell of a true crime update Tuesday. My goodness, was there a lot going on today? We're not going to cover all of it tonight. As you, those of you that were around this morning know that I did actually get to stream the Murdaugh hearing, the what you would call like the pre evidentiary hearing in regards to Judge told how she would like things to go. We're going to talk about that in better length one another night this week, or probably tomorrow or Thursday. We'll go over the links, but I do have the whole thing recorded for you in some chat conversation and all. And it is time stamped because there were some delays in the beginning. They said 9:30, but it didn't start at 9:30. So I have that all time stamped for you from this morning. But we also had several other things going on. The E. Jean Carroll's second defamation suit, and well, actually, the first suit going to the second trial for E. Jean Carroll versus Donald Trump, did jury selection today and started with opening statements this afternoon. And so we'll have an update on that one tomorrow on what's going on. We also had hearings in Scientology, Leah Remini versus Scientology. They had the slap motion hearing today. We're going to see what happened with that, probably tomorrow or Thursday. Um, well, today, if you saw the thumbnail, I have update on Rex Harriman. There was a press conference and there was a hearing today. Actually, it was more than a hearing. We'll get to that. We also had a hearing today, a very brief hearing today from Sarah Boone. Okay. So, which would you like to start with? And hello, Juju. I see that you came in. Everybody in chat. Oh, hi, Mark. It's probably not as nice with my scratchy voice today, but it's good to see you there. Rocket Couch, Sandra, Autistic Shill, everybody coming in. I appreciate you being here. I really do. And those of you that joined me so haphazardly this morning, it was really nice to do a live hearing. 3 hours. Yeah. I'm muted? No. Don't say I'm muted. How mm. Oh, hi. Okay, wait a minute. Thank you, Sandra. Are you kidding, Rocket Pound? Somebody tell me that I'm really not muted because I really thought that the sound was coming through okay. I've been talking for a few minutes here. Somebody give a shout in the chat, please. Oh, Couch, you got me all scared about this. Okay, you want to start with Rex Shill? Oh, you're dissing the court stream. Yes, it was. Yeah. Oh, okay, Couch. I was like scared for a second there. I'm not forgive me all. I'm just starting to feel a little bit better. I'm not 100% yet. I mean, I'm literally sitting here wrapped in a blanket talking to you. But there is so much. There is so much. Okay, so she'll said Rex. So you guys want to we're going to start with Rex Harriman, okay? All right. Rex had a hearing today which turned into an arraignment because the long and the short of it is that Rex Harriman was charged with a fourth murder today. He has now been charged with the murder of Maureen Brainard-Barnes. Now, she was the fourth of the Gilgo Four that we've been talking about since his first arrest in July, in regards to the other three women. And she was the fourth woman who they could not actually put charges on yet, but was part of the investigation and was still under investigation for. I would also like to remind everyone that he's still under investigation for two others that there have been articles out about, and that there could be some evidence clearing, but they have not made any charges on it. But the investigation is ongoing into several of the other bodies. DA Ray Tierney from Suffolk County actually did a press release today. He did a press conference. And for those of you that would like to listen to it in whole, I actually found a really good copy of it with just it. There you go. So that you guys that want to catch up later on what the actual district attorney has to say about the whole damn thing, there is actually the one that I just dropped there, that first link. It's also linked below in the description, but that is actually the press conference. But the long and short of it is he talked about DNA evidence that they have, new evidence that they were able to link. Because the DNA came back, they were actually able to identify a hair on Maureen's body that they could do a familial tie to. In the long and short of the story is that in May of 2023, the daughter Victoria was on public transportation drinking a monster cava and disposed of the cup. They gathered the cup, they got her DNA, they were able to make a familiar match to a hair that was found on Maureen's body. When all of the arrests happened, the whole family had given DNA swabs to be compared, and so it was Victoria's hair that was found on Maureen, and they were able to also DA Tierney had indicated that Victoria, the daughter, is not a suspect currently, and neither is the wife, even though the hairs were there. And what came out was we have an actual amended with additional information. We have an amended. This second link I'm putting down here is a shareable Google link to the amended 56-page, what we would call the affidavit of warrant or for bond, okay, of the suspect, okay. And in there, I'm going to be sharing a chart that was in there in regards to help explain the hairs that were found, because we've talked about these before. And one of the most important things that came up in the press conference, DA Tierney had explained it quite well, in regards to where the hairs were found and how they were found and what kind of matches we were dealing with. So if we're going to talk about, let's talk about Maureen first, because it's the first one up there. There was a female hair found on the body of Maureen Barnes, okay? Its approximate location, and these are approximate locations of the coverage from the reports from when the evidence was found, is on the buckle of a belt restraining the lower body. That belt has been indicated to have the initials HM on it, okay? That's the belt they're trying to identify, and they are circulating pictures of. All right. Well, it was restraining the lower part of the body, and they found the hair there. They did not get mitochondrial DNA results on that, but however, the nuclear DNA results, which are what they were waiting to come back to make the charges, were a 7.9 trillion times more likely to come from an individual with the identical genetic profile as Asa Ellerup, okay, the actual wife. Okay, I said it was Vicky, the daughter, but it's not. The daughter's was matched to another, that was to Amber Costello. Okay, so on Megan Waterman, okay, they found 3 hairs on Megan Waterman. The first 2 female hairs on Waterman were outside the head area, and they do have mitochondrial DNA results to Asa Ellerup or Victoria Heuermann, and that's when they were using the DNA of the family to narrow it down, and they were able to narrow it down to the hair more than likely to be that of Asa Ellerup, the mom. Okay. Megan had another hair that was in their tape around the area of her head, and that is also been tied to Asa Ellerup. A third hair, a male hair on Waterman, was found on the bottom portion of the burlap that was encasing her body. And it had mitochondrial DNA results of 99.96% of North American population can be excluded, but not Rex Harriman. There is a very likely that it is either Rex Harriman or an identical genetic profile of Rex Harriman. Okay. Again, the female hair on Costello, Amber Costello, tape was found in tape around the area of the head. Again, another mitochondrial DNA result to either Asa Ellerup or Victoria, meaning a female from the family, 99.98% chance that most people could be excluded, but not those two. And when it came down to it, it was more than likely going to be like by 4.6.4 by 10 to the 63rd trillion times more likely to come from an individual with the identical genetic profile as Victoria Heuermann, Rex Heuermann's daughter. Excuse me. Now, the reason that I wanted to say that is because the last time that we talked about Harriman, we were going back and forth about those hairs and what they were waiting for and why they couldn't say conclusively. And basically, Ray Tierney in his press conference straightened that out. They were waiting for this extra DNA results, and the charges came through afterwards. There were some other things actually. Let me get it ready. There are some other things in the actual charging document that are quite interesting. I do believe you guys are going to find it interesting anyway. They were talking again about the swabs that were done. Honestly, the defense attorney for Rex Heuermann already is trying to say that the DNA is too old from the bodies to actually be anything, but apparently that's gonna be a thing for the experts to try to battle out when it comes to trial, because as usual, each side's gonna have their own DNA expert, but DNA evidence has been preserved this way for a long time. They were very careful when the bodies were discovered. It's going to be pretty hard to get DNA evidence out, especially with those kind of matches. But I mean, I've got to give them credit. They're gonna try. They're gonna do what they can. We've seen stranger things happen. Hey, Record. Hey, Beck. Nice of you to join us. Hey, Mandy. Nice to hear you. See you here too. Yeah. That's okay. You can't tag everybody. It's nice that you're here, though. I'm like, hey, Secular, say hi. It's nice to see you too. Okay. Let's just say that this case is crazy, right, guys? I mean, there's a lot of evidence. Remember the search engine, the searches on his computer. Okay, now DA Tierney is actually saying that Rex Harriman was actually getting nervous. He actually had purchased software to try to get rid of evidence that was on his computer and several other things that they have, because they actually found on Amber Costello's computer evidence of that he had saved searches and everything and ads and stuff that he had been searching in that area that actually correlated with her. And there is stuff actually in her tech that they acquired that actually can lead to him also, Rex is using a public defender, I believe. Yes, he is. I believe that is a public defender. I'll have to double check, but I'm pretty sure it was. I'm pretty sure it was Jujubee. Uh, is Rex Heuermann, yep, using a public defender. I believe that Michael Brown is the name of the attorney, and I believe he is the public defender. Be bold. It's a forensic countermeasure. Yes, it is. Just be bold. Just be brave. You know. Have your wife shave her head if you're going to get up to no good. That is what we're learning here. Actually, yes. Yeah, or like, don't be actually, well, I would just say, like, don't be like killing people in your basement, when your family's away, because like your family DNA is everywhere. You're tying them into stuff. But I hear you. I hear you, Juju. I do. Hey, Karen, nice of you to join us. Okay, so the charges are, of course, first degree murder again, in a second degree charge too, just like the others. Okay. Well, there's some other things too that I noticed when I was doing the research to get caught up. That remember the 280 guns that they found in the basement? Well, they did go through some preliminary licensing and checking, and a lot of those weapons were not registered properly in New York, and they had decided they could charge them. It went through like a preliminary court hearing thing with the Supreme Court, and they said that he could be charged, but the prosecution has not added those charges on there yet that I could find. Okay, but he could get some gun charges there also because of the 280. And like I said, there are two other bodies that of the bodies, two of them on that are still being looked into heavily as to having some evidence that Rex Harriman could have been involved in with those also. But right now, he's got four. That makes him a serial killer. These are alleged. He's alleged serial killer at this point. We have to wait for the trial. Well, that document that I dropped down there will give you a lot more of the evidence in details of what they have been finding in regards uh, to Rex Silverman. And the investigation is still going on. Okay. So he's been formally charged now, adding Maureen Brainard-Barnes to the Gilgo 4, confirmed that he is now being charged with her murder. Okay. In the hearing today, he did not speak. He did plead not guilty. He will be continued to be held without bail until his next court hearing, which will be on February 6th. Okay. The police say that they, in the statement, as I said, that actually is the DNA extracted from the hair at the scene that is actually what they were waiting for to confirm that they could actually make these charges against him for the fourth body that was discovered. Okay. Um, they also confirmed that during the period when Brainard-Barnes disappeared, this is back in 2007, that Harriman's ex-wife and his daughter were staying out of town at a hotel in Atlantic City, New Jersey. And the ASA's attorney actually confirmed that immediately when charges were announced. Okay. They also said in Tuesday's court filing that Harriman feared getting caught in the months leading up to this arrest. And as I was saying before, he obtained data wiping software to try to destroy evidence on his laptops, phones, all his electronic devices. There's evidence of that in everything that they have got from the home search and from his arrest, the phones that were on him. They did that lengthy search at his home. Remember, it took days and days, and they contained troves of bondage and torture pornography that's listed in there. And you'll see that in the indictment listed on that Google Drive. He also scoured the internet for phrases that, for helping him to avoid getting caught. He was afraid of getting caught at the time, and he was searching for things like how does cell site analysis work, or Gilgo News, what's up? How cell phone tracking is increasingly being used to solve crimes. And phrases with the term Long Island serial killer were all very, very prominent in his Google. His attorney, Michael Brown, of course, is saying that his client is protesting, proclaims is innocent, and he has said so from day one, and he looks forward to defending him in court. He is questioning the DNA analysis connecting Heuermann to the killing. He says it's problematic since it was being introduced 13 years after brainard-barnes' body was discovered. Okay. But, DA attorney Raymond Tierney has said in response that sophisticated DNA testing has allowed investigators to more conclusively determine the hairs found with brainard-barnes belonged to Heuermann's ex-wife and daughter, and that DNA testing has come a very long way and is used to solve cold cases all the time. And it is sound technology. Okay. He also said the indictment marks the end of the investigation into the so-called Gilgo 4 victims and provides some small measure of closure for the families. They do believe confidently that Rex Heuermann is responsible for those 4 deaths, and they will be prosecuting him to the fullest extent that they can. They are going to turn their attention to serious prosecution of the cases and investigation of other bodies that were found nearby. They will put more resources onto those now, and these 4 are actually getting prepared for trial. Okay. Just as a reminder, Maureen Brainard-Barnes had left her hometown in Norwich, Connecticut on July 9th of 2007 and headed to Manhattan for sex work. She was a sex worker, as were the other 3, with plans to return the following day, according to friends who became concerned when she uncharacteristically stopped using her phone. She was only 25 years old. I do believe that she was the mother of 2. She had 2 children. At only 25 years old, did not come home. Okay. There are, several of her relatives out here. She has a sister, Nicolette, and she has another sister, Melissa Kahn, that remember her fondly. One of her one sister was only like 7 years old when she disappeared, so she doesn't remember a lot, except for the fact that her sister always took time to read to her at night whenever she was home. It now recalls that, all these years later, 13 years later, she can hardly remember the sound of her sister's voice. And we have to keep the family members in mind as we go through all of this, and that they are getting some closure to now finally have someone charged in her murder. So for the family of Maureen Brainard-Barnes, who waited patiently while the investigation continued on, they have a little bit more closer to getting the justice that they deserve. Okay. Again, just as a reminder, the names of the other 3 victims that were identified and he was charged with were Melissa Bartholomew, Megan Waterman, and Amberlynn Costello. They were also sex workers. Okay. Same slight body build. Okay. Small. Okay. Rex Heuermann has previously pled not guilty to those 3 charges also, or those 3 murders also. Maureen Brainard-Barnes was the first of the 4 women, of these 4, what we call the Gilgo 4, to disappear. Okay, and if you remember, their remains were all found along the same quarter of a mile stretch of the parkway in the Gilgo Beach area of Jones Beach in 2010. Additional searching turned up the remains of 6 more adults and a toddler who was the child of one of the victims. Investigators also found electronic evidence that Heuermann had accessed Costello's prostitution advertisements in September 1st of 2010, according to the court documents. This has all been added recently. Police concluded that an 11th person that was found dead in the tidal marsh on the same barrier island had died accidentally by drowning. Okay. Investigators have said that Heuermann, who lived in Massapequa Park across from the bay where the bodies were found, was probably not responsible for all of the deaths. Some of the victims disappeared in the mid 1990s. Okay. They had zeroed in on Heuermann when the task force ran an old tip from a Chevy Avalanche pickup. We talked about this before, that it was the pickup. Okay. That actually led to the break in the case. Through vehicle records and the database, they came back identifying one of the make and models belonging to Heuermann, who lived in a neighborhood police had been focusing on because of cell phone location data and call records from the victim's phones. With the tip breathing new life into the investigation in regards to the vehicle, authorities charted the calls and the travels of multiple cell phones and the vehicles, email aliases, delved into search histories, collected discarded bottles, the pizza crust for advanced DNA testing, and according to court papers, this is how the investigation was concluded and resulted in the charges. Okay. The DNA that they found on that pizza crust was actually matched to found on a restraint that was used in the killings, okay, to him. Other evidence that they have found were that Heuermann had burner cell phones used to arrange meetings with the slain women. And after the arrest, investigators spent nearly 2 weeks combing through his home, including digging up his yard and dismantling a porch and a greenhouse and removing many contents of the house for testing. Okay. Well, most of the original stuff that they have there, it's still the same. All right. Let me just look for some questions. Let's see. Okay, so I do believe it's a public defender. Okay, I'm still okay. Claire, your G Drive link is making me ask for access. I'll go ahead. It says that it should be anybody with the link. Okay. It should be. Hold on. Let me just make sure. Oh, I see. I see what happened. Hold on. Here's okay. All right. Disregard that link, the first link. Here's the second link, and I will change it in the thing there. Thank you for letting me know there. Okay, try that second link. The last one I posted there, Shilbo. That should be. Hopefully, that leaves it all open for you guys. I had locked it to Jay. I wanted him to get the information first. Okay. If my man is killing people in the basement, I'm gonna have a real issue with that. You know, Juju, I have the same sentiment actually. Yes, I would be quite concerned. Okay. Well, busy life, whatever. I guess she just never went in the basement. But I heard it was like there was a lot of stuff down there, Yeah. This guy gives me the creeps big time. You're not kidding, Bandy. Like he does have a look, does he not? Like, wow. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Shill, and thank you for checking for me. Yes, he does have quite a look. He really, really does. I'll tell you. Hey, Rekka, thanks for joining us. Mm. I feel like I would pick up on that relatively quickly, especially if you had said you cannot go in this room. Oh, I'm going in that room, right? I'm a bit like that myself, Juju. Like, don't tell me I can't go in there. I'm like, automatically, I'm like, why? What are you hiding? What's up? Like, come on, like, transparency, right? Like, it shouldn't be an issue. It should not be an issue. What do you mean you need the whole basement to yourself? What? Like, what? What's this? What's this? Like, you know. Yeah, sharing is caring. Yeah. I would be quite curious as to what's going on in my basement. Although I don't like to go in my own basement, I surely don't want to be told I can't go into my own basement. Like that would be a whole different thing. Like. Hey Teresa. Mark says, leave your phone at home when you're up to mischief. Yes, don't put it on your like just turn it off. They're gonna track you. How about just don't get up to mischief? How about that? How about that? Mm. And Mandy says, and Mark, make sure someone is at home playing on your phone. I watched a Dateline that the person left the phone at home, but there was no activity for 18 hours, which was unusual. This is true. And that did come up in the Murdaugh trial, didn't it, Mandy? That he always had his phone with him, but he said he left it inside and there was like no activity. And they're like, everybody was giving testimony that he was always on his phone. And so that also came up as being one of the things one of the things that alluded to like probably something going on here, you know? I never thought of that. Of course, not being on your phone is suspicious, especially this day and age, right? I'll keep that in mind. Oh, never mind. Now we all know about it, right? Okay, let's see. Oh. It's the being told you can't go in part of the house you own. That's the real catch. A week before my birthday, I might let it go. Maybe. Mm, maybe, but I would definitely need to know. I would definitely need to know. Okay, so we are going to have another hearing in February in regards to Heuermann, and we're going to be going forward. But prosecution is ready now to go forward. They are in discovery stage back and forth, and we're going to see what's going on in regards to a trial for Rex Heuermann for the murder of the Gilgo Four, all four women. And so we'll see what's going to come forward as the evidence. They've got lots of stuff listed, or lots of stuff they found on laptops. They've got cell tower triangulations. They've got video of him buying the burner phones. They have a phone conversation with the sister that he tried to make. They did a great investigation. On that line, I did find an article that did a timeline of the investigation, and I wanted to share that with you too. This was from CBS 48 Hours. They just did it out in writing in an article format for you, and I'm thinking you would appreciate that. Makes it easier to follow as we start talking about it from, week to week as these things unfold. Okay, so now if there's no other questions on that, I think we can move on to Boone, if you like. And for Sarah, well, I don't have as much, but it's good news. It's kind of good news and it's kind of bad news, Let's see. Let me just finish up with Heuermann. Yes, leave your car home if it's anything about 10 years or more, like 5 years old, as most have GPS on them. My car is 2011 or 14, but has no bells, but you leave my car alone. No shenanigans, okay? I don't know. Pretty much now, you have to believe that you are being seen everywhere you go. There are so many cameras. Not that I would do such things, and my thoughts right now in public always being watched. It is true because like these were what they have is actually from the store, where he bought, and everything's like they've got all the cell phone, uh, the selfies he took on his own phone, the data, everything that he put up in the cloud. I mean, with a subpoena, they can get just pretty much anything. Um, and well, he's had an issue. Yes, he didn't want to get discovered, and he was worried about it. And actually, they have evidence of him actually trying to destroy evidence, and so that kind of going to look even more guilty if that gets presented to a jury, don't you think? Um, so there, I'll tell you, this case is going to be interesting because of all of the bodies being in the same place. How many were found? That area itself being seems to be a dump site there for more than one killer. From what they're saying now, they do not think that he's responsible for all of the bodies, but time will tell. No, we'll get to that. But let's move on to the early morning hearing for Sarah Boone. Now, prior to this hearing, Sarah Boone's attorney, Mr. Hobson, her seventh attorney, filed for a continuance based on the fact that the trial is supposed to be at the end of this month, and he does not have enough time to prepare everything. They just got permission to get actually not permission, but they just got the funding approved for their expert witness, and that expert witness is going to have to look at all of the evidence and prepare, like we said, statements. And this was a triple threat witness. Remember, this is going to be someone who can actually testify um, psychology wise in regards to battered woman syndrome or battered person syndrome. Uh, also is in crime scene investigation and recreation. Has got some expertise in that. She has been an expert witness uh, many times in that field also, and also in jury selection, in voir dire, in actually the questioning and getting the right jury. So she's like the triple threat of a witness there. She's got a lot to look at, a lot of reports to create, and they needed time. They're also got the funding for an investigator to look into a few things that Sarah Boone wanted checked out, and that got approved. Mr. Hobson has been doing, the best that he can to get through, but he needs a little more time. And so in today's hearing, actually, Prosecutor Dave Cacciatore was there by Zoom. And Judge Wooten had to tell him, listen, unbeknownst to me, because I didn't get the file till late, the continuation was filed the other day. So we won't be going forward with today's hearing. Judge Wooten decided to actually grant the continuation. Now, it's not exactly bad news because we want Sarah Boone to get a fair trial. And her attorney just came on in December. Her seventh attorney. I get it, And also, Judge Wooten is going to give him a little more time. He didn't give him a lot of time. He scheduled the very next status hearing for May 3rd, making it a trial date looking at the 13th of May to carry on with a trial. So only a couple of month delay. We're not going to go through the whole year. When they filed that continuance, I was thinking 2025 for this trial, actually. And I was like, we're just not going to see the end of this, this year. But if it goes the way the judge and the prosecution is actually said, it should be fast tracked, because here's what Dave Cacciatore from the prosecutor's office said. They're ready right now for trial. They're ready. They're not holding anything on. Okay. So in that light, since everything's already been transferred over to the defense, everything that they need, Mr. Hobson will need to get up to speed within the next couple of months because we're going forward. Okay, we gave him a few more months to get ready, but it's not as bad as we were thinking it was going to be. And for those of you that would like to hear that hearing, I also have a link to that hearing that you can hear Judge Wooten talk to Dave Cacciatore from the prosecutor's office. They were the only two there at the meeting because actually this is the only hearing that Sarah Boone did not request to go to because it was going to be the continuation. There was nothing really to discuss. And so she waived appearance. Okay. But as the prosecutor did note, she very rarely does that. So they wanted to make sure they kept everything on expedited for her, and she got her fair trial, in that we could bring things to a conclusion. Now, some things to consider, some interesting questions in some of the videos I've been watching lately in regards to Sarah Boone in her case. One question that came up was that, she's been sitting there for several years already. And what happens with all that time? And it is true that it does come off the sentence. They're going to calculate it in as time served. So, like, if she gets 8 years, she's got like 3, 4 served already. So it goes into the calculation at the end if she's found guilty. Because remember, she's not gone to trial yet. Even though there's a video evidence of, everything that's going on there. It is going to be quite interesting. And remember, at the last time we spoke about alcoholic blackouts being added in the defense somehow. We're not sure if they mean Sarah or they mean George. Because we do remember in the intake interview with the detectives, Sarah Boone insisted she did not have a drinking problem and that they don't do that often. And that, it was only 1 bottle of wine between the two of them. And she didn't really think she was that drunk. She really wasn't. It's just that she fell asleep and she didn't get up until late. And she was upstairs, but she didn't come downstairs till around 12:30. That's when she discovered him, pulled the body out of the suitcase and, tried to do CPR and then, called her ex-husband first to come before she called the police. Which is part of the interviews that are there, the filming of when the coroner's office investigator was there questioning her. That all came to light. I don't recall ever having an alcoholic blackout. I mean, I've fallen asleep and got a hangover, and I've gotten like really, really tired, but I don't really think it was a blackout, Drunk or drug. Karen, what they're saying is that they only had wine. True, Juju. I mean, who's going to tell the truth about being inebriated when something terrible has happened? I mean, I can understand why she was not being 100% like forthcoming with a lot of things. But what she did try to do, she really didn't really do herself, Yeah, Mandy, she said 1 bottle. What was it, a Magnum? I would be trashed, so half a bottle, even the regular size. I know, because 2 glasses of wine, on an empty stomach, depending, I'm only 5 foot. I mean, 2 glasses of wine, I could feel a little good. I mean, a lot good. I'm just saying, we did hear the video, the suitcase video, and we can hear her slurring somewhat. Like, we don't know if there's anything else involved, That's, we will see what comes up in the trial, Well, so everyone, what do you want to talk about tomorrow? We've got Scientology. we could review some more of Murdaugh. We've got E. Jean Carroll. There's so much going on, I'll tell you. I'll just pick something out of my head. We'll see. You know, I find that when people lie about being drunk, it's very easy to pick holes in their story. Yeah, I would say, I would say, I think it is like, it doesn't make any sense to even try to hide it, because you don't have your full faculties. You're not going to be doing a very good job of keeping things copacetic, so to say. All right, so if my voice holds up, I'll be back tomorrow. If not, the day after, but keep an eye on the community tab. There's stuff going on everywhere that we're going to keep up today. There's been quite a few Supreme Court reinforcements of a few of the cases in Trump that Trump's got going on also. But actually, the trial has started with E. Jean Carroll, the second one, with the jury's been seated. And so we're going to see how that progresses. I'll have more. But on that, I thank you for your time today. Thank you all who joined me this morning. And thank you for joining me tonight. Well, if there's no more questions, I think I'm going to call it out. So good news is that we are going to actually have a trial for Boone in 2024. Am I doing horse? Yes, I'm doing a very, very horse impersonations there, Mark. I really am. And it's getting a little bit worse as I go. So I'm going to go get something to drink. You guys have a great night. Thanks for joining me and putting up with this really froggy, ucky voice. But there's so much to talk about. I didn't want to leave it for too long. So everybody have a good night. Have I been joining? Rocket Couch, I actually have been. I haven't been able to read too much because, like, with being sick, I couldn't concentrate very well. But I did start actually last night to read it, and I am enjoying it so far. So far, so good. Oh, yeah. Is it time to drive home in this garbage we call snow and ice? Yes, Mandy, please drive very, very carefully. I hope you all stay warm and stay safe and take it easy, okay? And just be well, everybody. Be the best that you can. And I will talk to you all really soon.